What is up, YouTube? My Cowboys family, bringing you guys the latest update on the Cowboys. Give us just a second. Hopefully our audio is finally fixed here. We are pretty sure we have it ready to go. Give us just a second.
We think we fixed it. So what up? Again, I'm a hater. Comes in number 1.
Yeah, so let us know, guys, if the audio sounds all right.
Yeah.
Let me see.
So we can...
Fingers crossed.
What is up, YouTube? My Cowboys.
Yes, finally. Yes. Wait, I need to hear you.
That's true. What's up, DJ Crown J? How you doing, man? We're glad to have you back. I hope everybody gets back here. That joined us a little earlier, about 15 minutes ago on the stream. We do apologize for that.
All right, so there we go, guys. Sorry about that. Technical issues. Got it all fixed up. We can finally get right to the Cowboy news. So I'm a hater. What's up, DJ Crown J? What's up? Thanks for joining us here, guys. I mean, we might as well get right to it, but before that, make sure to hit like on the stream if you haven't already, guys. And I know you guys are already subscribed, but if you are watching us for the first time, make sure to subscribe as well.
Yeah, guys.
So, Peanut310, what's up? And yes, go Cowboys, Raptor Charge. Thanks for joining us. So, all
right, I agree. A hater wants to take the streak of first every time. Go for it.
Go.
You're pretty good. You're almost first every time. So, guys.
Click on the trigger. Barry B, thanks for joining us.
Barry B, what's up? So, guys, here's the deal. As you know, David Irving, Orlando Scandrick, Justin Durant, they're ruled out, guys. They're not going to play against the Raiders on Sunday night, which is a shame. Yeah. Mainly with David Irving. I'm not really too big of a deal on Scandrick. And when it comes to Durant, I mean, I think we need the more linebackers, the better. But the fact that Jalen Smith's kind of coming to his own at the end of the season is a big plus. So I don't mind that as much. But the David Irving one, we're going to miss that somewhat. I still think we have enough with everything we have in there with our offensive line and the rest of the defense. I think we're still in good shape. Now, we do have some questionables for the game. And even though they're listed on here, most of these guys, there's no fear. So let me start with Tyron Smith, La'el Collins. They're listed as questionable. Malik Collins with a foot, we know that. Bryce Butler, probably the most questionable. That's probably not going to play out of this list so far. James Hanna is also listed as questionable, but he should be playing. And Sean Lee listed as questionable. And guys, he actually was downgraded at practice to a did not practice today, I'm pretty sure. So he was limited, and then did not practice. So that turned some heads and made people say, uh-oh, what's going on? Yeah. Now, I do want to say something about Sean Lee. He spoke to the media this afternoon. All right, and that's usually what he does when he's available to play when he's not injured. All right, so when he's injured, he usually doesn't do his Friday talk. So he spoke at the media. So even though he's listed as questionable, even though he did not practice today, he was limited the last 2 days. I mean, I'm thinking that you're probably going to see him play. I don't think we should worry too much about that.
You think it's like more of a rest thing, like they're just trying to rest him?
And again, I'm looking at his week's work here. He was limited. And he had the hamstring and a back, which was new, by the way, guys. A back injury for Sean Lee. He was dealing with that. He was limited on Wednesday. He was limited on Thursday. Did not practice on Friday. So I agree. It could have been a rest day. And the fact that he spoke with the media afterwards is a good sign that he will play. So I just want to give you guys that little tidbit of information when it comes to Sean Lee and his availability for this weekend's game. The other question marks, like I said, guys, we already know that David Irving is ruled out. So we're going to have to talk about his replacement in a moment. Scandrick is ruled out, which, again, he's kind of been replaced, let's be honest, by the 3 rookies. So those are the guys replacing him. And Durant's the depth that we wanted behind what's his name? Behind Jalen Smith. And he's our 4th linebacker, technically. So when you have Damian Wilson playing, the run on the 4-3 base. So, so you want to make sure that you have – a couple other guys. You have Wilbur still back there. He plays special teams mainly, but you have March Lillard, which usually is inactive. So it just really comes down to who's gonna play that replacement, that other spot, the 5th linebacker, I guess you can say, behind Jalen Smith. It's not gonna be Durant this week. Now, I was concerned about James Hanna because he's part of the offensive line, just like Tyron Smith and of course, La'el Collins, which are much more important. Yeah. But he's an extension of the offensive line. So we really need James Hanna for the blocking downs. I think that's when we do best, when we line up in that kind of, stacked formation with three tight ends and sometimes six linemen instead of 5. We throw in Joe Looney. I don't mind that, even not in short yardage, because we block so well as a team, as a group, and that includes the tight end. So that's why we need James Hanna back there, on those kind of plays. And occasionally he'll make a catch here and there every 4 games or 5 games or so. But yeah, Sean Lee with the injury. Like I said, Bryce Butler, he wants to play his old team, which is the Raiders. Unfortunately, he's questionable, and they're saying that he's probably unlikely to play. So look for him to be probably an inactive for this game, Bryce Butler. Which then, who are you going to replace him with? We're going to do it tomorrow on the Madden 18 stream that we always do here every Saturday night. Right. So I'm going to be taking Bryce Butler. So I'm going to show you who we're going to put in there, but I do think, because the Raiders, and we talked about their defensive stats yesterday, but because the Raiders don't cover very well underneath, and I say underneath, they don't cover the quick receivers. So like the Beasleys. So you might see Switzer in there tomorrow as the fourth receiver instead of Butler. Or you might see, and I do think you'll see Noah Brown as well in there taking over that kind of receiver, which again, they're kind of similar, Dez, T. Will, Bryce, and Noah Brown. They're bigger, longer receivers, and Switzer and Beasley are shorter, quicker ones. So you might see Switzer in there, I think, a little more often than you would see on a regular basis. And, of course, you can see Noah Brown in there as well.
So Greg Claiborne, thanks for joining us. DJ Crown today said them hamstrings are a season-long nagging issue if not given the proper time to heal. I agree. Hollyway, thanks for joining us. He said Chip Kelly threw away Foles. Let me see. Chip Kelly also threw away Deshaun Jackson and LaShawn McCoy. I'm guessing.
McCoy.
And then Frankie G, thanks for joining us. He said kind of wanted to see Bryce Butler score against his old team.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's disappointing that he's not going to be out there, and especially because, again, I feel like he's been so underutilized this season, especially with the way that he has been playing for the most part.
He's playing pretty well, but he gets like 3 or 4 plays a game for him.
For all the things that the Cowboys do in the passing game, they never really seem to give him too much of a chance, so I don't know.
I am a hater. I agree.
They Vikings also have so many receivers. So.
No, I agree. No, it's something that you have to kind of something you have to roll with.
Yeah. Right? So DJ Crown J, can we talk about our conditioning staff? That's the one thing that I've been saying.
Yeah, for a while.
Like it has to be something has to be going on because Sean Lee's not the only one. It feels like we've suffered through a lot of hamstrings. Jordan Lewis, remember, he didn't start.
Season. A lot of guys missed time in the beginning because of that.
Yeah. So and then Barry B said Foles can't win a Super Bowl, but he'll win a few games.
I agree.
I mean, he might be able to get you somewhere, but I don't.
Like I said, at most one round. Out of one round, whether it's in the wild card or probably in the divisional finals.
I think a lot of that has to do with who they face, though, and I think that any solid, cohesive team will be able to tear them apart.
Yeah,
it's just
I agree.
Let's be real.
So Dallas Cowboy Football News says that they got to give Noah Brown a shot. I agree. I think he will have a shot. Him and Switzer will have more shots. Well. Yeah, I agree. But again, remember, because the Raiders are not very good covering underneath, covering quick guys in their pass defense.
This is a game where the Cowboys are going to exploit their passing game?
I think maybe you want to use. You want to use Noah Brown. He was going to get the reps no matter what. But I think you might think about maybe that more than usual. Instead of maybe giving Switzer 5 or 6 snaps, or you maybe give him 10 snaps. So I'm just saying maybe you want to use him underneath, so you have 2 weapons on each side, or maybe you want to double them up and really confuse the Raiders. So a lot of things going on that you can do. We got to trust the coaches, and I don't, but we have no choice. But
again, why not use some of your other guys in that same role, though? Why not use Beasley there? I
agree. We will. I see that happening. Beasley and Switzer is what I'm trying to say, both of them. But when you think about receivers, guys, and you're flipping to the other team, Amari Cooper, he is their superstar receiver, guys. He's been ruled out. He's not playing.
Yeah, what was his injury again?
Foot injury, ankle. I'm sorry, ankle injury for him. Let me just double check it, guys. Cooper is, again, did not practice. He's ruled out. Mario Edwards Jr., defensive line. Again, tomorrow when we do the stream, we're going to look at these guys more and kind of see more what they are going to take away from their team and who's going to replace them. So we're going to look at the stream and kind of simulate it and see what happens, and talk about all these players, who's going to replace these guys.
And Dallas Cowboy Football News, thanks for joining us. And then Bear B said, maybe next year Eagles, good season though. You better stop Wentz from all that running before he ends up like RG3.
Wow.
So all I got to say is Dak.
Yeah, Dak does the same thing. He says he's not going to change his game. That's what he was saying a couple days ago.
I'm more worried he'll end up like Cam Newton.
Well, Cam Newton is a lot bigger. That's the thing. Than Dak.
I know he's a lot bigger, but I still feel like Cam Newton just took too many hits. He's just not the same. Again, he's getting older. It's wearing down on him. So, and he can tell. You can't do it forever, guys.
Yeah, I'm looking here also at the other Raider injuries, guys. And Obi Melifawanu, safety. I think he's the rookie. His hip. He's out. Let me see who else this guy here is. Clive Walford, which is the backup tight end. He's out with his concussion. Like I said, Amari Cooper and Edwards Jr., Mario Edwards Jr., they're both out. So defensive linemen. So they're kind of a little short in different places as well. And if you listen to our stats yesterday, we can go over them a little later in this live stream. But we can talk about like the differences in numbers when it comes to the defense on the Raiders and our defense compared to their offense. There's a lot of different things to look at. When you look at Marshawn Lynch and you compare running backs, listen to this. Marshawn Lynch, 12 games this season, 147 rushes, 619 yards, and 7 touchdowns. Ezekiel Elliott, he only played 8 games. He had 191 rushes. He had 783 yards, and he has 7 touchdowns, guys. So Zeke is just like, I know the difference is this week is Zeke is not playing, and beast mode is. So, we know it's still.
But still, the fact that Zeke only played 7 games and he was able to match stats.
8, yeah.
There are 8 games,
yeah.
And Marshawn Lynch has
not
4 games on him.
Yeah, exactly.
And just saying that's
it's big difference between Zeke.
Yeah,
and
Frankie
Marsh.
G. Amari Cooper is out, so
Ruled
he does
out.
have an ankle injury. Right?
Ankle, yeah, he's out.
So an ankle injury, guys.
He re-injured it against Kansas City. Talking more about Zeke, and we're just prepping you for next week. But we got to worry about. I'm just getting this out of the way. Zeke, and since the start of the 2016 season, Zeke has played 23 games since then. He has 513 carries. He has 2,414 yards and 22 touchdowns. Todd Gurley, who's one of the best running backs out there right now, 29 games for him in the same span, obviously for the the suspension, but 514 carries, so it's one more than Zeke. He is only 1,920 yards, 1,920 yards.
Yeah.
Zeke has basically 500 more than him, 500 yards more, and Gurley only has 16 touchdowns in comparison to Zeke.
Yeah,
so
and I'm a hater. Zeke comes back next week against Seattle, so this is the last Zeke-free week you'll be seeing. Hopefully, we'll be feeding him soon.
Yeah,
and feeding him throughout the playoffs and all the way to the Super Bowl. I don't know what to say.
Keep hope alive.
One game at
a
time. One game at a time.
Raiders is the first and foremost, guys. Now, I'm looking here. As I said, that Bryce Butler is the least of coming back there.
DJ Crown J said, "Let me continue my interception prediction. I've been right 2 weeks straight. Derek Carr, 2 interceptions."
Oh, I like that. I
like that number.
I mean, and that's the thing with them. They're going to pass, guys. They really don't have a running game, as you heard with Marshawn Lynch's numbers. But also, if you look at what they're ranked in the run on offense, they're not very good. Let me see here, guys.
Frankie G, I did not hear about Zeke's bet with Eric Dickerson. Let me know what it was. It sounds pretty funny.
Yeah, I heard about that.
He said, "Face it, season ended when Wentz got hurt. Foles winning a Super Bowl was a pipe dream. Holding on to a season that felt like a dream season that crashed and burned before the dance." So, and you know what, Eagles? We felt some of this pain, not quite the same, obviously, because, no one got hurt. But our loss to Green Bay was very, very painful, very sudden after this crazy wild ride of a season. You guys were hot. You were going great. I really thought you guys had a solid chance of making it all the way to the Super Bowl. Not winning, but making it all the way there.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Injuries just suck really bad on all sides. It takes away a little bit of the fun of the game in that sense. But, I'm confident that Nick Foles will be able to make something happen. But, be realistic as well, Eagle fans, the same way that us as Cowboy fans would be realistic if Dak got hurt and all of a sudden we had, Cooper Russian, okay? We would be realistic.
Yeah. Yeah, so a couple things I want to...
Zeke bet Eric Dickerson he would have 200 yards in his first game back against Seattle.
Wow. Interesting bet.
I like that bet, but I don't know what Zeke is giving up for it. So hopefully he didn't bet anything he couldn't, that's a lot of yards. Let's see, definitely. Zeke, make it happen.
So let me run through some of the stats, guys, real quick. I did this yesterday. I'm going to do it real quick right now. For the Raiders, okay, they average about 20 points a game. They're ranked 22nd in the league. They average 329 yards per game. That's 19th in the league. Passing yards, they average 237 yards, 238 yards per game. That's 15th in the league, so that's right at the average. Yeah. And rushing yards, only 91.5 yards. That's 26th in the league.
I mean, they're on the bad side of average, I guess. But for the most part, they're not horrible.
Well, no,
they're
not horrible.
They definitely have a few weaknesses, especially
in the passing game. They're average. That's it with Derek Carr, and you got Marshawn Lynch. They're below average. So with that running back core, total yards they're 19th in the league. That's below average. So and points scored only 20.
That's why I said it. Just they're on the worst side of average. Not worst, but definitely not.
Well, let's see how our defense will compare. Well, I guess you want to look at defense. You can look at
Cowboys Abroad. Thanks for joining us.
What's up, Cowboys Abroad?
And
How you
then
doing?
let me see. I want to read. Let's see. Eagles thinks Foles can win them a Super Bowl. Let me see. At least you guys are nice about the Wentz injury. A lot of Cowboy fans are thrilled. Now, you know, as a Cowboy fan, am I glad you guys are like out of it in a general sense?
Well,
I mean, it is what it is, but you know what I mean. But
oh, baby.
Okay, it's done. Okay, stop.
Eagles still have. Listen,
but I know
I've
they still have hope. I know
I've
we've seen crazier things.
I've seen
but like I said, let's be realistic.
Guys, I know maybe many of you guys have not been alive or don't remember these days when the Giants and they lost Phil Simms. This was back in like the late '80s, and they lost Phil Simms and Hostetler, I think was his name, took over and took him to the Super Bowl at the end of the season. Similar injury situation.
And guess what? They still lost. So
no, they didn't. They won that Super Bowl. The Giants won that Super Bowl.
Oh, I thought you said the Eagles.
No. The Giants. If I said the Eagles, I was wrong. Like, obviously, the Eagles never won a Super Bowl. The Giants with Phil Simms. Phil Simms played for the New York Giants, and
there you go.
He got injured. He was there. He already had won a Super Bowl at this point. This was the second Super Bowl against the Bills where they missed the field goal, the Buffalo Bills. It wasn't the Denver one. So when Hostetler came in there and won them the game, I mean, not won them the Super Bowl. They got him to the Super Bowl, and he didn't make many mistakes. He was pretty on target for the most part. My point is that sounds like someone like Nick Foles could be. So I would not rule him out yet. The Eagles. I'm just being dead honest. But you definitely. That's you. But you also that's me. And you also have to remember though. You also remember that I do believe that they will not, even with Wentz, they were not going to get past past the conference final, the NFC Championship game. If they would get there, probably the most I would give them. I don't think they can get past the Vikings. I think I am a hater said it earlier that Vikings. He said earlier Vikings. You know, he thinks Super Bowl. I do agree with that. You know, if we're not in it, then I think the Vikings are they one of the leading teams to win the Super Bowl. I do think their defense will take them, even though they just lost.
Okay,
we'll see how they rebound. But
back to my original point, which is just that. You know, in a general sense, as fans, we don't want the Eagles to succeed, but, you know, we don't ever want any injured players. I don't care if you're on the Eagles or Giants or whatever. I just never like to see players get hurt, and especially, like, those horrific, like, season-ending, like, those, you know, when you watch the video, you just go, oh, like, I really hate that. And, you know, and honestly, we've had those injuries on our team. Every team has gone through those injuries, so. Yeah,
but that's a superstar. You know, it's almost like if we lost Zeke or Dak last season, you know, like.
Well, when we lost Romo, I mean,
true,
Jesus.
True. There you go.
You almost had a heart attack. Yeah. I think every Cowboy fan almost had a heart attack, guys. I mean, you know, no one ever expected Dak to be what he was. We were all panicking. Like everyone just instantly went, "Oh crap! Forget our season. Here's our team."
Yeah. No,
back to the news,
I wanted to see. Yeah, I just wanted to go back to the stats, guys. As I said about the Raiders, that was like the breakdown for them: 22nd, 19th, 15th, 26th. So they're middle to low when it comes to the Raiders in their offensive ranks. When it comes to our offensive ranks, we average about 24 points per game. That's 10th in the NFL. When it comes to total yards, we average 338. That's 16th in the NFL. When it comes to passing yards, we went up from like 180 something to 200. 200, almost 201 yards per game. That's 25th. So we went up about three spots in the rankings when it comes to passing yards.
Better.
Yeah, and rushing yards, we were really good. Last week we were 4th. This week we're 3rd. And 137.5 rushing yards.
The fact that we're still getting, we're still one of the top, getting top rushing yards in the league, and again without
Zeke, the offensive line, crazy. Guys. That's what it comes down to. When we had
Tyron Smith.
Other than the Denver game, whenever we had a healthy offensive line, we were able to do some damage, and that goes with the Rams game. We did break down a couple times. I will say that was probably our worst offensive line performance minus the Denver game. But even the Green Bay game, you saw what we did at the end of that game, and that carried on past the bye into the next 3 games when we had a complete healthy offensive line. And we have them back now. So I have confidence in what we're going to do on the offenses this weekend and on through the end of the year. I think we can win all 3 games, and that was without Wentz or with Wentz. I don't care at the end of the season. And now, they might not be playing for much, the Eagles. That could be very possible. And that would only help us. So, in a way, it wouldn't be the worst thing. If for whatever reason, wherever they're at, it wouldn't help them to win that game. But I think we can beat them with or without them trying, because we are trying for something bigger. They're already in the playoffs. They're already going to have probably a bye. Maybe they won't get first seed. But they'll be fighting for that possibly against the Vikings, depending on what happens in the next 2 weeks. So, we'll see what happens. We can't worry about those things. We got to worry about, us winning. And so you looked at our offense and their offense. That's where we kind of fall. You look at the Raiders' defense. When it comes to points allowed by their defense, they're 20th ranked. That's on the lower end of things. They allow a lot of points.
But again, who have they really played? What's their strength of schedule like? They did pretty good last year.
They play our division. So and then they play their own division twice. Each other.
Those are some tough games.
Yeah, exactly. So they got some.
Oh no, I'm just trying to keep it in perspective as well to see, okay, who are they actually stopping? Because if you're stopping, the Browns, Good for you.
Yeah, but they got blown out by the Redskins, and we kind of blew them out.
True.
So, I mean, listen, and then the 20, they're in yards, total yards allowed, they're 22nd, so it's even worse. So they allow a lot of yards. And there's a lot of reasons for that, but their pass defense is ranked 25th out of 32 in the NFL. So that's really low.
Yeah.
And again, in interceptions, they're 32nd. Just in causing interceptions. That's a stat that I saw stood out to me, which means they don't make many turnovers. They don't get many turnovers, especially in the interception category.
Isn't it nice to not be at the bottom of that list anymore? I mean, I have to give credit to the Cowboys at least this year.
Pretty bad.
You know, we're doing all right so far in interceptions. At least we're improving on that end defensively, because I think, you know, last year, the year before, we only had 4?
Yeah,
something. Yeah, I think we have more than 4 now.
Yeah. Oh, who, Dak? Yeah, this year.
No, I'm just saying. No, I know he's been intercepted more than 4 times. I'm saying our defense is caught.
Oh, yeah. I think we have more than that.
More than 4,
whatever it was last year, we were.
So at least, at least our defense isn't ranked,
we are here
32nd.
When it comes to the Raiders' rushing defense, I should say, they're ranked 16th. So they're average. They're a little better. They're dead in the average. They're in the middle of the rush of stopping the run. So but they haven't faced an offensive line like we have. So just saying that's gonna be, we're gonna knock them down a couple pegs. I can guarantee that. On offense for them, though, I do want to say they're 17th ranked in when it comes to passing touchdowns, but they're 5th ranked in rushing touchdowns, even though they don't rush for many touchdowns. Like they rush for a lot of touchdowns, they don't rush for many yards.
Yeah, just
so they pass down the field.
They pass down the field, and when they get close, they run it in right in the end.
So that's something to keep in mind, guys. When they get close, they pound it in. Exactly, and no, that's what another team. I think Kansas City was like that too. There was another team out there that had the same kind of thing, and again, AFC West, similar type of team. But that's something we have to watch for when it comes to. I think the Eagles actually was the team that did that. They ran for a lot of touchdowns, but they didn't have many rushing yards per game at the time. If I'm wrong, I'll rephrase it. But
now, Cowboys Abroad said, does Zan Bailey return to being Mr. Automatic this week? I think so, because I think it's a combination of him still kind of coming back from that injury. I mean, you know, we have to be serious about the fact that it was what? Oh, that's right, Dan Bailey. It was a groin injury. It sounds like some hamstring involvement as well. Either way, guys,
it still might be bothering him, but I think he's going to get better every week.
I think the fact that the weather is also going to be on their side, it's not going to be, quite as chilly, quite as windy.
Might be a little chilly though.
So California, either way, guys, it'll be a little bit better. And then let me see. Cowboys X Factor, thanks for joining us. As far as net neutrality, guys, we'll keep it short and sweet, at least for now. But just
I have something to say about that in a minute.
Support,
you want to talk about it now? I wanted to
support free internet. That's all, guys. And then the stream started late, guys. We had a minor technical problem, but we're here, ready to go.
Sorry, guys. Make sure you hit that like button.
Y'all really think we could beat the Vikings at home in the playoffs at Wentz? I personally think so. I know you don't think so as much. I think they could, because I think you pointed out a good fact. I think their offense is what changes the game. I think the Eagles have a decent enough defense that they might be able to cause that game-turning interception or whatever. The Eagles are the type of team, they'll score points eventually, maybe not as much as normal,
Wentz.
But I think they'll outscore the offense against that defense. And I think that defense, can cause an interception
I agree with
or
you,
a safety
for sure.
or something.
Because I think the combination of both sides of the ball, I think that Philly's better.
Exactly. And again, at home specifically.
With Wentz. Yes, I agree. It's closer. I think it's a closer game. I think that Philly in Minnesota, without Wentz, it's over. And I think that even Philly at home without Wentz against Minnesota, it's over. I think Philly could lose to the Saints even at home.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that's anything bad against the Philly defense, but I just think that their offense might not be able to produce enough against decent to above average defenses to solid defenses, to some of the best defenses like Minnesota. So I think that's something you have to look into when it comes to the Eagles. Their defense is good. One of the better ones in the NFL, but not as good as the other ones we just mentioned, the Rams, Vikings. And when you look at the offense balance, the Eagles seem to have a better balance than maybe some of these other teams like Minnesota.
No, and I think that that's one of the reasons they've been successful. And like you said, maybe the fact that they've had injuries and they've been able to have other guys step up and help fill that role. But unfortunately, now they have the worst injury that, with the quarterback that, their backup quarterback, can he step up and fill that role? We're about to find out this weekend. So Cowboys are out with their appeal. They already started slowing the streams. Everything's net neutrality repeal's fault. Can't even watch football news. Yeah, guys.
Is it slowing it down?
I thought it was just my own personal data plan. I recently switched over to Verizon's Unlimited when I previously did not have unlimited data with them. And my service has been horrific. I guess if you've been having horrible service as well, let me know.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's net neutrality or just
I saw something that I liked. I'm gonna kind of quote it. First of all, Ted Cruz not one of our favorite people here. He said this is, I'm not going to say the whole thing, but he said something like snowflake believing online propaganda. This is what a snowflake says. Oh my God, with net neutrality, the internet is gone. So the informed observer says, the FCC issued the rule in 2015. The internet grew without, any of these regulations by the government. So that's basically what he was saying. And so some guy said, Steve Hofstetter said, net neutrality was put in place when high-speed internet became an important part of the fabric of our society. So it's an important part of our society. So now it's not just like something that was just kind of outskirts of things, or only certain people
the same way that slowly having a phone, like a telephone in your home, became like a common thing, vital service. This electricity, running water, all these things slowly, it's not like we woke up one day and we all had it.
And he goes, before plumbing, we didn't need laws regulating water access either. Times change, just like your political views, depending on who pays for them.
Exactly.
That's what he was saying to Ted Cruz, because it depends on who he supports based on who's paying him off the most. That's a more political thing. But I don't really like Ted Cruz. So, this guy made a good point. And again, you made a great point too about all the other stuff. Regulations come, some things change and it grows and you evolve. And these guys don't.
Again, we didn't have laws regulating the internet because there was no internet until there was an internet. So, guys, we have to adapt and change. Hopefully, Congress.
I'm going to be honest, though. I think it's unfortunate. Stop it. It's unfortunate that, it seems like this is done to, whether you liked Obama or not, it seems like this is done only because this is one of Obama's things that he put in. And it's so childish when you think of our current administration and the government, parts of our government too, that go along with it.
Trying to tear it down just because it was Obama's and not because they actually think the policy is wrong or bad.
Just because he's the one that put it there.
His name on it.
Right. It's so silly. It's so silly. It's so juvenile, and it's even worse than that. I'm not going to go into the racist side of things. That can be like an opinion, but I'm just saying that to me is, it bothers me because I do believe some of that has to do with who he was, his name, his color, his skin, etc. And it just sucks that people care that much about that it bothers them so much that he was, he's as good or bad as any president before. So, it's just silly that they're going after him and trying to, tear down everything he built. Whether you like it or not, some of that stuff is good. Some of it is bad. But, you got to look at it and be fair. You can't be so biased that you're blinded by Fox News or whatever people watch out there. So, again, that's just our 2 cents. I shouldn't get any deeper about that because that's just safe for the question and answer portion, guys. When we hit 1,000 subs.
This is Dallas Cowboy talk, but again, this when it comes to net neutrality, this affects.
It mixes in.
This affects everything we do on the internet, including us getting our games. If any of you guys have NFL Sunday Ticket and you stream it through your phones or your computers or even through your service provider could choose to slow it down because you're using that specific service. I mean, this affects everything we do, guys. So unfortunately, we have to talk about it a little bit. We're pretty much going to leave it there, guys. Let's get back to the football.
I see DJ Crown J says Oakland weather would be 58 degrees. So, that's a little chilly. It's probably got a little breezy out there. I've been out there once.
I still think it's going to be different than the Giants game because I feel like then it was cold.
It was cold. Like freezing, like bone chilling.
It wasn't just cold. It was windy.
You're right, 100%.
It just, I don't know. I feel like, again, 58 degrees, that's like nice. It's crisp. And with them moving around, doing stuff, they'll be all right. They're
Bailey
big
will
boys.
be fine.
Yeah.
No, Bailey's the one we want to worry about in that situation. So, sorry, Steve Scoggins. We'll off of that. Like I said, we haven't touched on it sometimes, and we're done.
Cowboys are say we have Dan Bailey problems since he got the shirt. It's bad luck. Get a Jeff Heath.
Get a Jeff Heath, then you'll flip it, and you'll help Heath or ruin him.
I feel dirty just saying Jeff Heath jersey out loud.
So, guys, I want to say something that's kind of fun. Jerry Jones on 103 The Fans was asked about Tony Romo as possible future coach of the Dallas Cowboys. And I don't think about head coach, but just a coach of some sort. He said, let's don't speculate. Tony is very capable of being an outstanding coach in the NFL. It could easily be in the future for him because he just loves the competition part of it. So Jerry Jones just trying to shed a little light on his thoughts of maybe Romo one day being a coach in the NFL.
I mean,
maybe
he's
a Cowboy
just saying
coach.
that he thinks that he definitely could see him doing it. That's all. Not saying that he thinks he's going to do it, just that he could see him doing it and doing it well. I think we could all agree on that. I mean, Tony Romo just has a great mind for the game.
Yes.
That's why he won Sports Illustrated Media Person of the Year because he's really gone into the broadcasting booth, changed things up, and given a new, fresh perspective on the game.
Yeah, and guys, I'm going to set a recap real quick. As you know, Scandrick's not going to play. He's ruled out. Justin Durant's ruled out. Linebacker, cornerback, Scandrick is ruled out. And David Irving, defensive tackle, defensive end, defensive lineman, number 95 is ruled out. Again, guys, remember, though, he was at the facility this entire week. Yeah. He was taking part in meetings and also some off-field stuff with trainers. But he still is having some effects from the concussion that he suffered in the Redskin game about 20 days ago. So it's got. I hope it doesn't linger like the Rico one. You know.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like he's more active than Rico ever was, though.
Oh yeah, he's on the field.
They're slowly working him in, but it does sound like they're doing the right thing and waiting until he's really 100%. Yeah. At the end of the day, guys, we want David Irving. Yeah, healthy, sure. His brain okay.
I know. But
hopefully he is back by next week for Seattle. I mean, that's going to be. He could be a game changer as well. I mean, Zeke's obviously a game changer, but David Irving getting in there and knocking Russell Wilson to the ground,
just making him run around all the time.
I mean,
you gotta get all the guys.
Steve Scoggins, that's awesome. He's going to be at the Cowboy Raiders game, so make sure to cheer extra loud for our Cowboys. Takes pictures.
Yes.
Tweet share stuff on Twitter, guys. If you guys do ever go to a game, we'd love to check it out and see you guys there. And let me see. Let me see. We need Lee to play. If not,
I wanted to speak about that, guys. Sean Lee, he's one of the questionables, along with Bryce Butler, James Hanna, and a couple others, Lyle Collins and Tyron Smith. But they're all looking to play. The two that are still that people are having questions about is Bryce Butler, which is probably not going to play. So expect them to be inactive and seeing more of Noah Brown and Ryan Switzer. Raiders not very good at covering speedy small receivers. But then when you look at Sean Lee. He's going to be somebody that's probably going to be – we're a little bit worried about him. And the thing is that he was at media day, which he usually does not do when he's injured and is not going to play. He's usually rehabbing somewhere. He did not practice today. He was limited the last 2 days. I don't think it was any setbacks. I think we're hoping it's just a resting day. I wouldn't read too much into it as of right now.
Yeah, but they did say it was a hamstring and back.
Yeah, hamstring and his back, and that's the thing. We hope that it's just chill out, resting day, and he'll be able to play. If not, that'd be a big hole. If for some reason it's a big surprise if Sean Lee does not play. Yeah. So if that breaks, we'll definitely make sure you have your notification bell on because we'll definitely break that as soon as we hear that horrific news. Hopefully that's not going to occur. We don't expect it to. And then you got Hitchens. But when you're looking about Jalen Smith, I want to discuss him for a quick second because Stephen Jones, vice president and of course the Cowboys, and also of course Jerry Jones' son. Said that he picks Jalen Smith as a Cowboys player who has exceeded expectations the most this season, which I can see that, especially with his progression. I think he's the most improved.
And especially, again, coming back from his injury, not playing for a year, no one really knowing if he would ever be able to play.
A bust. Yeah.
It just even him coming back to the game was questionable.
So listen to this stat on top of that to kind of back up that point. He has 100 tackles to begin his NFL career. Some GMs and some personnel directors doubted that he would ever have anything to that close. 100 tackles. When you get over 100 tackles as a defensive linebacker, a defensive player, but a linebacker especially, already that puts you into a thing. Okay, you're getting a full season in there.
I mean, he hasn't
played really a full season.
He hasn't played a full season, but they definitely played him quite a bit.
But Sean Lee must have 150. I don't know.
I hope so, but he might not.
Well, he missed a lot of games.
So many games.
Yeah, see, that's the thing.
You see, and that's the thing, guys. He's been out there. We've seen him really struggle because unfortunately he had to learn the worst way. He was thrown, from the fire into the from the frying pan into the fire, I think.
I'm not
Something like that. I'm not sure what the saying is, but either way, guys, he was just basically thrown right into the game. He had to play pretty much full time, which no one really expected him to so soon.
That's true.
And he didn't quite step up the way that anyone wanted him to because, again, we were expecting high quality play from this rookie player. Still figuring out the ropes. Even now, guys, still has quite a ways to go. But when you're talking about where he started from, where he is now, what an improvement. And, when you really see those numbers, it really puts into perspective what he's actually done for you on the field. So, got to give him a lot of credit there.
Yeah, for sure, guys. So I mean, gotta love that at linebacker. Sean Lee, we're hopeful that he's going to play. He showed up for his media day stuff, which he doesn't do when he's injured. So even though he was not practiced, even though he has a back issue now, we're hopeful that he's going to play. When you look at David Irving, the question is, we talked about Bryce Butler, who's going to kind of replace him. When we talked about Durant, and he's kind of the depth that we're losing, so, it might seem a little Kyle Wilber in there, maybe. Probably not Justin March Lillard, but maybe that's another guy. But those are lesser issues. The bigger issue is who's going to replace David Irving. Last week, we had Richard Ashe, who was the main replacement. We saw some Lewis Neal in there. We saw some Detone Jones in there. Yeah. Now, I'm going to say this, and I think that he showed a lot against the Giants. And I don't care about the offensive line. He still did something that Richard Ashe did not do or Lewis Neal did not do. Detone Jones made a great play for a loss against the Giants, and I just the way his quickness and his power, I think the combination, he looked good out there. I gotta say, and he's number 58 in case you guys don't know. So when it comes to him, all right, with now that David Irving is gone for this game, hopefully he comes back healthy for the Seattle game. Like you said, we need him for that. But Detone Jones, I think, is the front runner to get the most snaps. Now Richard Ashe might start, but I think that you're going to see the rotation as usual. I think you see some Lewis Neal as well. But I think you see the most from Detone Jones, and I think you got to look for number 58 to replace him eventually, if not this game already. Detone Jones has more power and quickness, okay, than the other two guys, okay. The other two guys play more defensive end position. Keep that in mind. And so he has all the physical, natural traits to be that inside kind of pass rusher, disruptor kind of player. Not as good, of course, or as big as David Irving, but still someone for the time being. He could help us this game. So watch for 58. He just needs to be trained a little better. I think he's still raw with his talent. So we'll see how he progresses. If he stays on the Cowboys, what happens from here on out. But it'll be nice to see something come from him this game, number 58, Detone Jones. I think he's the front runner over Richard Ashe and over Lewis Neal. So there you go, guys. I just wanted to throw that out there because that is a worrisome situation. What are we going to do when it comes not really against the run, but against the pass? And Derek Carr. Yeah. Lynch doesn't get that many yards. I think we're going to have the linebackers fill in the spots like we did last week, and Lee making 18 tackles is crazy.
Well,
so
I mean, Holloway
doing
15 tackles. He said, is Derek Carr overrated? That Mark Holmes said that Derek Carr is playing like David Carr right now. So let me see.
I think it's a combination of things similar to what's happening with the Cowboys. But I think that...
actually, Barry B said the Raiders receivers are dropping the ball at an all-time rate.
That is true. And also, they're also, Crabtree was suspended last, after the fight with Aqib Talib. Amari Cooper has been gone, for a couple games with injuries, and now again. He's going to miss this game. So he's missing his receivers, his big-name guys, and the other guys that are there, like you said, are not catching him. Even when those other guys are there, Cooper, they're still missing it. Yeah, Barry B makes a great point. So, yeah, I mean, he's not getting any help. I think he's still a good – I don't think he's overrated.
Now, DJ Crown J, I think those out-of-nowhere injuries, I want to say they come from practice, these players just get injured during practice because they seem fine, and then all of a sudden they're on the injury report. But at the same time – I don't know. It always seems suspicious to me, but that's just me, guys. I don't know. Guys get injured during practice as well. Let me see. And then my Cowboys X Factor said, my Cowboys fan, my wish to Santa Claus is for the Dallas Cowboys to make the NFL playoffs this year. I hope Santa got your letter. Yeah, that's all I can say, guys.
We're hoping that at least for Christmas Eve we have if we would beat Oakland this week, and let's talk about that. The ways we get into the playoffs, and I know we discussed it a million times over, but 1,000,001, why not? I mean, the thing is this, guys. These are the games we're looking for this week. Okay, these are the ones we have to follow. So I posted today through Twitter. The games that we got to follow this week. The games, there's about 5 of them. So aside from our game, which we have to win, if we do that, no matter what happens, everything else, if we win that, we set Zeke up next week and the week after to possibly control our own destiny and possibly, make a run at the playoffs and see what we can do. But so the Bears and Lions, that's tomorrow, guys. And I just want to drop a little bit of a hint here since there's about 15, 16 people watching. Guys, tomorrow we're going to probably do a live stream during the end of that game. So look for the second half of that game. Around them, third quarter somewhere, we're going to pop in, especially if it's a close game.
Yeah, because it's really important to the Cowboys.
If the Bears can make the Lions slip up and the Bears can sneak a win out, guys, I think it's going to be a close game. I do think Detroit's going to win, but it's a close game. And if the Bears can pull it out, of course, I don't care about who I picked or whatever. I don't care if I'm wrong. I want to be wrong. But tomorrow we got to make sure that whatever happens with the Lions, we have to hope they lose, somehow slip up, mess up. I don't care. Bears are a divisional team, even though they're playing in Detroit. They're playing. They don't have anything to worry about. There's no stress for the Bears. Detroit has to play hard. They got still banged up Stafford. We'll see if they have enough to beat the Bears defense. Hopefully the Bears can do what they did last week against Cincinnati and kind of flip it on them a little bit and hang in there with a division rival like the Lions. And if they can sneak a win out, go Bears tomorrow, guys. We're Bears fans tomorrow.
That's right. So go Bears. I know what to say.
If we get that win, you'll be celebrating as hard as when the Cowboys, win, because that is going to be a huge help for us if we can have Detroit lose early, which gives us, again, these little things now would help us not have to worry about Detroit losing a game later on. Also, it gives us a chance to have somehow control of our own destiny. Now, if that doesn't happen, control of our own destiny is out the window for next week.
I mean, for the rest of the season, it's kind of already out the window in general.
Right. No, I said there's 4 things that have to happen. If that happens, we could be in control of our own destiny, but it'd be major upsets. So let's go through it, guys. It would be the Bears over the Lions. That'd be huge. All right. At 1 o'clock on Sunday, Panthers over the Packers. Okay.
Again, that's entirely possible even with Aaron Rodgers.
Right. And the thing about that is that it wouldn't hurt us, actually 100% hurt us, as much as if the Packers won. It would help us in some other ways. So that wouldn't be a killer, but it would help us overall to control our own destiny if the Panthers were to beat the Packers more. It would help us more recent than later. The Jets beating the New Orleans Saints. I doubt that will happen. But the Jets have played some good football here and there. You never know. If they can show up, you never know. But
if Saints, they want to show up, I mean, they got blown out this week.
The key is with the Saints, if the Saints lose 2 games, we can pass them. If we win out and they lose 2, we actually are better than the Saints. So that's why we can still catch the Saints, we can catch Carolina, and we have to get, even though Atlanta's only 1 game above us, we have to beat them by 2. So that's why all those 3 teams have to lose 2 games, and we have to win out. So if one of those 2 lose 2 games, then, we went out, we were in the playoffs pretty much. It's a pretty good chance we're in the playoffs. For instance, let's say Carolina blows 2 of their 3 games.
Yeah.
And let's say Atlanta blows 2 of their 3 games. Then you can have Green Bay winning out and us winning out, and both of Green Bay and us make the playoffs. So there's a lot of things still that can happen in this season, guys, and we have to hope Detroit loses. So that's the 1 o'clock. I think it's 2 o'clock tomorrow. Yeah. So we'll be watching that Eastern time, guys, and again we'll be probably live streaming around 4ish. So keep looking out for that. If it's a close game, especially, we'll definitely be broadcasting then. And then later on tomorrow night, we'll be doing our Madden stream. And then on Sunday, of course, like I said, the Green Bay, losing to Carolina would be nice. Jets beating the Saints, which would be a miracle.
Yeah.
Then at 4 o'clock, the Rams beating the Seattle Seahawks. And the reason that we need that is to make sure that the Rams can clinch the division. We don't want the Rams falling down. And if the Seahawks pass the Rams and win the division for some reason, which if they win, they end up tied, both these teams. Yeah. And there's 2 games left. If the Rams falter, the only way we can pass the Rams if they lose out and we win all of our games because they beat us in a tiebreaker. So we'd rather go against Seattle Seahawks, which we know we can beat in a tiebreaker when we play them next week. So we need to have the Seahawks lose, not because we need to lose a game, because we need them to lose to the Rams. The Rams have to win. That's the thing. So
Andrew the call, thanks for joining us here.
What's up, man?
Don't worry about it. Glad you're here joining us. Vok Lombardi, what's up? Then Cowboys around wants to know who's the better number 4, Dak or Derek, and why. Barry B said Dak because Dak is a great leader and more consistent.
Vach Lombardi, what's up? What up? Salute. I like your question there about, not your comment, but your comment about Atlanta losing to New Orleans and Carolina. I agree. I think that's the most viable path for us. I think they're going to lose New Orleans next week, and then they play Carolina the final week at home. Atlanta's at home.
Let's just hope Atlanta crashes and burns, guys. Let's have some roast chicken.
And that's the thing, guys. There's a lot of possibilities for us. So Carolina can lose 2 games. Yeah, but they don't have the easiest schedule. And, New Orleans, I would say, has the easiest out of the group. I think Tampa Bay, the last 2 weeks, I think it was Green Bay and Detroit or something like that. Or, I don't know. I think Tampa Bay, 2 weeks now, and then now the last 3 weeks are playing the teams that basically we need them to beat, and they have not helped us with 1 game. So hopefully Tampa can get 1 more win this year against one of these opponents that we need to lose. That will help contribute to helping our chances to make the playoffs. So again, Bears over Lions, Panthers over Packers, Jets over Saints, Rams over Seahawks, and Monday night, speaking of Tampa Bay, the Buccaneers over the Falcons. That would help us tremendously, because then the Falcons would turn around and play the Saints next week.
Exactly.
In New Orleans, the revenge game. Exactly. So that if that happens, guys, we have a chance to control our destiny. Again, if Detroit loses a game, let's say this week or next week, and I think next week they play at Cincinnati. So that'll be a 1 o'clock game. We play at 4. So if they lose one of those 2 games, if Green Bay loses either this week or next, I think Monday night against the Minnesota Vikings, that's a tough game. So if they lose against Carolina or Minnesota, that puts them behind us if we win out. And then we just need Atlanta to lose 2, New Orleans to lose 2, or Carolina to lose 2. And I think Atlanta losing to Carolina on the final week is very possible. But let's say the Green Bay Packers do win against Carolina. The plus is that we won't have to worry about if we just have to win out the last week. So, for instance, that Atlanta-New Orleans game is very important. We have to hope New Orleans wins, beats Atlanta. It seems that way right now. Unless some kind of crazy thing happens and the Jets win on Sunday, then it really wouldn't matter either way, because then that would hurt the Saints if they lost a second game. We would be able to catch them if we went out. So there's a lot of things in play here, a lot of moving parts. Sean Lee did play big D, Will. Cowboys abroad say Atlanta wins out. Do they take the NFC South? If so, does that leave us? Okay, so Cowboys abroad. If Atlanta wins out, that's the thing is I'm trying to say. If they win out, that means they have to beat Carolina. That means they have to beat New Orleans. That would give two of our opponents there that we need. We need one of those three teams to lose 2 games. So right there, they just opened up the door. So if Atlanta wins out, that means you're giving Carolina a loss. And you're giving automatically giving Carolina a loss, and you're giving the Saints a loss. If the Saints blow a game to the Jets, or the last week of the season, I don't know who they play, but I think Tampa Bay is their last opponent. That would kind of hurt us there. But then you look at Carolina. If they lose to Atlanta the last week, they're playing Green Bay this week. If they were to lose to Green Bay, and Green Bay was to lose to Minnesota next week, and Detroit was to either lose a game to Chicago, or lose at Cincinnati, or lose the last game of the year at home against Green Bay, then if we went out, we don't have to worry about Atlanta or Carolina, because they'd be fighting for the 5th seed, and we'll be 6th, secure 6th seed. So again, there's a lot of things, guys. As these games progress, it's something to watch every game, every time slot this week. Saturday, is a game that we need. Is very important for the Cowboys, and if somehow we get lucky, it would be a bonus, guys. I'm not expecting the Bears to win. I'm expecting a close game though, and that should be exciting enough to keep us hooked to the screen and cheering on for the Bears tomorrow. So that's number one. That's passed. Then 1 o'clock on Sunday, we're going to be watching that Green Bay Carolina game. Got to see what goes on with Rodgers and see how he plays against that defense. Cam Newton plays against the Packers. That should be an interesting, fun game to watch. But either way, it helps and hurts us, that game. And then we also have a bonus one there, which would be a miracle game, kind of like the Bears beating Detroit. It'd be even bigger, I think. It would be the Saints losing to the New York Jets. You never know, guys. I've seen stranger things happen. So if that occurs, hey, that's another bonus win there. And then 4 o'clock, it would just help us secure a spot in front of Seattle instead of having to battle the Rams. If the Rams beat Seattle, that would basically clinch the division for the Rams, and that would help us in the sense that we don't have to worry about the Rams falling to us battling for a wild card. All we got to worry about is Seattle, and if we beat them next week, they're pretty much eliminated. So that's where you see what we're looking at the 4 o'clock games. Sunday night is our game. We got to win it. We got to beat Oakland, and then Monday night, it's Atlanta and Tampa, and you never know. Look, the Dolphins, they beat the New England Patriots, the divisional team, guys. You never know. I think you could see a similar thing, hopefully, happen Monday night. But if any of these things happen, it's just bonus, guys. We're not expecting any of these things to occur. In fact, Carolina and Green Bay is the only one I could see, really Carolina beating Green Bay, or vice versa. And it's still, either way, it still kind of helps and hurts. We just have, if Green Bay wins, we have to have Green Bay lose another game to finish up the season, whether it's at home against Minnesota next week, or at Detroit the final week. And if they do lose, that means we don't have to worry about them. But then it would be helpful if Carolina loses, another game, or if they have to lose 2 games. Carolina, if they were to lose 2 games, that'd be helpful for us in catching them at the end of the season against, if there's a worry about Atlanta winning out or something like that. So these are the things we have to look into, guys. A lot of paths. That's where we're about 1 out of 10. We're about 10% right now to make the playoffs. By the end of this week, it could be 50%. We'll see what happens. It depends on all these other games, guys. So just I'm glad we went in depth about the playoff chances and all those things. Hope everybody followed. If you're not sure, guys, there is some written stuff that we uploaded to Twitter. We posted on Twitter earlier today, so make sure you follow us. The links are below, and you can follow us through My Cowboys Family at Twitter, My Cowboys Family, whatever that is there. So.
All right, guys. So we've been streaming for about an hour here. I want to take a few more of your comments, and then we're gonna go ahead and I
did have a quick story though about the Giants and Eli Apple last week. Just a little thing, guys. I don't know if you guys knew, during the Cowboy game, he was actually on his phone. He was inactive. He was made inactive. He's not really being told why. He's been inactive, I think, for 4 straight weeks. Okay. So he was tweeting during the game, which is actually in the NFL bylaws that you cannot do. Ooh. So this week, even though he was basically fined today, he was fined for an undisclosed amount by the Giants for tweeting on the sideline during Sunday's loss to the Dallas Cowboys. he was the 10th overall pick for the Giants, guys. And, you know, I'm seeing them part ways maybe. I mean, you never know. Someone like this could have early struggles.
It sounds like they're just not happy or not clicking.
He had a decent first season last year. I thought he was decent, but this year he's definitely just been having like the Anthony Brown disappointment.
Maybe they're just going to talk about it like a management issue and let whoever they hire as general manager handle it.
Eli Apple said, I wasn't confused. It was just a mistake by me. He said he didn't want to talk about the past 4 weeks. And he's trying to concentrate on the Eagles this week, you know, with the Giants Eagles play. But anyways, the point is that he spoke with other guys on the team, and he said that he didn't handle it right. Basically, his tweets were when he was frustrated because he was inactive, he knew he was healthy. He basically tweeted that he's healthy. That's what he said. He goes, I'm healthy. That was the tweet before the game. And then during the game, when Rod Smith made that 81-yard reception, basically that a short pass, and he ran it all the way 81 yards. He tweeted out 11 Warriors, which is he retweeted an Ohio State website 11 Warriors. They're both from Ohio State. They're friends.
Yeah.
So when he saw that, so he's actually doing that for the opponent. That's kind of low. I don't like that. You know, even as if I was a Giant fan and Eli Apple was tweeting after the opponent scored a touchdown, even if it's your buddy, you don't do that. You still got to take your loyalties to your team, and then after the game you say congratulations or whatever, and you can post something about that, but not during the game.
Yeah, you still got to stick with your team, while the game's going at least.
I don't know. To me, that's just I don't know. I can see where the team is right about that one, and he was fined an undisclosed amount. I just thought it was an interesting story since it did happen during our game, and you never know, guys. Things go around in the NFL. You never know. Eli Apple could end up on our team one day.
That's what happens when players also lose respect for the organization and its management.
Yeah, but that's right now too. That's happening. That's not during the McAdoo. Yeah,
I know. But that's what I'm trying to say. They've lost respect for their system, at least for this year. Like, there's no one there to tell them, hey, you don't do crap like that. So
no, I agree, and that's it's even bigger issues than we have with Garrett and the whole crew of doing things their way or not their way. So I mean, I don't know. There he goes. Andrew DeCall says, I laugh when the Giants drafted him in the top 10. He has never that good in Ohio State. Facts. There you go. I mean, again, I think he was decent, but I don't think he was that early round pick. I mean, we got our sophomore slump is Eli Apple.
Yeah.
I mean, not Eli Apple, is Anthony Brown, and Eli Apple was drafted 10th, and Anthony Brown was drafted in the 6th round. So you can't even compare that. Yeah. So I almost said go Lions. No go Lions. No Lions. Go Bears tomorrow.
All right, guys. Well, I'm going to go ahead and give you guys our final shout-outs here real quick.
Run through the names. So, Watch Lombardi. How you doing?
Lombardi, D-Will, Cowboys Abroad, Andrew DeCall, Shallow Hal. Let me see.
I agree with Vach, by the way, that Anthony Brown would be a little better if we had better safety play, especially from Heath, in my opinion. I like Byron Jones, but I like Byron Jones playing down at the corner, helping with playing tight ends. I think that he's doing well doing the back and forth thing. That's my opinion. But I think that Heath could be, an improved position. I like what we're doing with Kevin Frazier. I like what we're doing with Xavier Woods at the corner. He can also play both spots. So can Cheeto. So we have a lot of versatility. I love it. I just think we're going to get better as time goes on. But I think Anthony Brown will improve. I think he's just having that sophomore slump. He did great last year coming in, and he was like one of the best cornerbacks from the midway point of last year to the end of the year, and allowing yards to his receiver he was covering. He was one of the best, and teams picked on him last year. Somehow this year he's regressed. Again, safety play is not the best, but again, I think Byron Jones has to deal with a lot of changing parts. I like Byron Jones still. I still have high hopes for him. Ever notice when Brown gets beat deep, Jeff Heath is close by, clapping and cussing? Yeah, I know. Usually I see Jeff Heath getting beat, like against the Cardinals. That opening drive, he got burned. He got burned against the Broncos. He fell down on a little short pass at C.J. Anderson, which he took it into the end zone because Heath slipped and fell. He's just slipping, falling, turn. He's gotten a little better, but not enough to warrant a starting job. I like Kevin Frazier. I like Xavier Woods at safety even. I like Cheeto maybe playing back there.
That's one of the few changes I will say that I'm happy about so far this season. So. All right, guys, let me keep going through the shout-outs here. So, Andrew DeCall, let me see, Barry B, let me see, Hollyway, and DJ Crown J, I don't know how far back this is going to let me go, Buddy Johnson, let me see, all right, and I'm a hater, so all you guys, thank you so much for joining us here tonight. Great stream as always.
Yeah, for sure, guys, and I enjoy the conversations. And Vach, Vach is a great site. Check it out, guys. He does a lot of good breakdowns, a lot of good chats and podcast live streams. With people like Vach and just the way we have all these, Mark Holmes and Shangos and Law Nation, and I would love to
Cowboys X Factor as well, guys.
Exactly, Space Cowboy. Yeah, I mean, all you guys have great stuff, great content out there, and you know, I would love to do like a Google chat sometime with all of us giving our opinions. And I'm gonna try to do something where I can do that with the chat on the side as well. I'm still trying to work with that, play with that, guys. So let me know, Vach, the big, you know, any of you guys out there that want to do it, you know, for that have your main channels. Also, guys, a little comment for the future here as we're kind of fluctuating with our goal with the 1K. We're almost there, guys. So any shout outs you give, yeah, any shout outs you give for us on your channels, it's much appreciated, because once we get to 1K, we're doing super chat. We're gonna have leaderboards. We're gonna have a lot of other stuff. We're gonna have some kind of prizes. Sometimes we might give out a lot of stuff in the future. We got
lots of ideas, and if you haven't already, make sure to hit like on this stream. It really does help out the channel.
And hit subscribe if you're new, of course, guys. You know, that's where we get, you know, you guys are the ones that make the channel. This is my Cowboys family. So I want to, you know, I like to hear all of your comments, and we'll try to get as many as possible. Again, you know, sometimes it's easier than other times when you have more, less, you know, we'll see as time goes on. We'll figure out a good system to make sure we try to get most, if not all, of your comments, guys. So
yeah, so an Andrew to call. Yeah, it does look like another defensive heavy draft. I mean, guys, let's see what the future holds for these Dallas Cowboys. Let's take it one day at a time.
Yeah, we got the Oakland Raiders, and we're still in the thick of things. You know, I still think we have a decent chance. 1 out of 10, 10% doesn't sound that great, but I think we got a shot, guys. So I definitely looking forward to that.
If the Giants somehow made it happen, made it work, we can make it happen and make it work, guys.
And Vach is saying it. Yes, Vach, I will definitely hit you on Twitter, and we'll figure something out for sure. I would love to get, you know, I know you know some of the other guys out there too, so, you know, give them the word. I know Law Nation, I've talked to him before, and some of the other YouTubers. So, you know, I would love to get something together for maybe the Christmas Eve chat. I don't know, something like that for that big. If things go our way, we'll see. We set something up, guys. It'll be fun either way, no matter what happens, guys. So, yes, community roundtable. I like that. Yes, let me know if you want me on yours too. I'll definitely make an appearance if possible, guys. So
that's right, guys. Then
thank you so much
for joining us here tonight, guys.
I see you on there.
Now, never forget.
Yes, the most important thing, guys. Thanks a lot, and go Cowboys!
We'll catch you guys tomorrow. Make sure to join us for the end of tomorrow's Chicago game. So go Bears.
Yeah, go Bears tomorrow, guys. Come on.
All right. Catch you guys next time.
Stay safe, guys, and good night.
Good night.
Go Cowboys.